This weekly chart zoomed out is Stellar, XLM, a chart that has massively surprised me as I've decided to do some analysis, macro cycle, multi-cycle analysis on this chart. And it becomes interesting when we start comparing it to something like Cardano ADA, which is a chart I'm very familiar with. So in this video, I want to break down a very kind of different and fun cycle analysis, a little bit of a comparison in terms of a race. And this is going to be fun to watch in this bull. What performs better from this moment forward, XLM or ADA? And you might be like, what a weird comparison. But I want to explain a couple different things to you. You know, I've launched this company in May where we have our risk models back here. It came as a huge surprise to me as we started digging into all of the requests. We have so many requests coming in to add people's assets to our risk models. And these are not things that you just whip up and just like, we're creating hundreds and hundreds of these. This was a massive surprise to me. Stellar XLM was the most requested asset that we've had so far. And it really did take me by surprise. And because of that, we've trained a model for XLM. We released it yesterday, and I want to do an analysis on it as it overlays with the charts, again, that have surprised me because I was not aware of kind of this multi-cycle setup. And then I really want to use it as we also just analyze and look at ADA risk, ADA charts, because this cycle is becoming incredibly interesting for all altcoins. And this is what I want to talk about in this video, the upside of these two altcoins, XLM and ADA. So hit the subscribe and like on the way in. If you're not in our intelligence system, click the link below. If you want to kind of see what all the fuss is about, try it out. We have a free trial going on right now. You can start planning and strategizing based on risk, when to sell, so you don't round trip a bull market. I want to just say this. Let me lay the groundwork here with XLM chart zoomed out. We're going to talk about the structure of this setup, the ascending triangle, the risk model, what it's saying. But can I just paint a picture for you? Right here was the 2018 bull market high. Parabolic craziness. Do you know how far we've come in crypto? Could you imagine back here with an XLM move like that, that years and years and years later, cycles later, we will be almost at a similar price point while this is happening? Visa's working fast to integrate stablecoins and is using blockchain networks such as Stellar. Here's another one from Stellar. We believe that when stablecoins are trusted, scalable, and interoperable, they can fundamentally transform how money moves around the world. That's from Visa. Visa expanding stablecoin settlement capabilities to Stellar is a win for interoperability. I'm bringing that up. You don't even have to be an XLM holder. XLM is not like a big play of mine this cycle. You know that. We built this model for XLM holders that are in our system. But let me just say something. It doesn't matter what crypto you're holding. Do you see how far we've come from there to where we are right now? Now let's talk about this XLM chart, because let me explain something to you. XLM has pressed against the same resistance line that you see there across cycles with declining risk. 97, there's a 53. Right now, hovering around the same price, we're at a 37. This is what our risk model is showing right here. Now, our risk model, they account for a lot of different things. We've got our advanced risk algorithm. We've got emerging asset theory. We've got game theory, price, volatility, volume. But when you start looking at all of that data that helps us visualize, man, it's a good time to start selling. It's a good time to start buying. But then you start looking at the headlines, the fundamentals. You know, is a breakout to the upside in play? What could drive it? And we talk about things like the business cycle. We talk about things like liquidity and, you know, everything at the interest rate that's happening with interest rates starting to come down, the dollar falling, pro-crypto legislation, all of it. But for something like XLM, and this is important for every asset, I think, if it has really solid fundamentals and really solid headlines, like, I don't know, Visa, it plays into the bull move even more. So we're sitting at a 37 on the Stellar risk model. That's a pre-bull market move. What I want to explain to you, because this video, I really want to release this to our members, especially for them to just, if they're using the system, specifically the model itself. I need to explain this, and then we'll really get into the price kind of analysis of this video for Stellar. And then we're going to look at ADA, because the ADA weekly chart, as compared to Stellar and the Stellar risk model, is very interesting. I want to explain this though. So our models, when it comes to Stellar and everything else, it's pulling data from CoinGecko. So you can see CoinGecko locking in this 2018 crazy swing high, all-time high. You could go to a lot of charts for XLM and you'll see this is not what it looks like. It looks more like CoinMarketCap. There's CoinMarketCap. So basically saying last cycle broke the all-time highs from 2 cycles ago. So they're both different. So that is because CoinMarketCap and CoinGecko, they use different ways to read their data, and they do it differently, right? Now, the methodology of something like CoinGecko, which is basically being way more strict, it's taking in that price action and illustrating it to you, and it's presenting that data to you. That methodology, I think, as it relates to our risk models, allows our risk models to be more conservative in approach. And for me, I don't know, it might not seem like it, but I'm very conservative macro investor. I'm very critical of how balanced I am from a risk perspective across my portfolio on the macro. Just because I'm often probably called a perma-bull or something like that doesn't mean I'm not conservative. I'm bullish on the macro right now because of everything I've been talking about across this entire cycle so far from the bear market lows. You know why I'm bullish, but I am conservative. And I think pulling from CoinGecko data and really bringing in that data makes our models more conservative when it comes to the risk scores that are presented to people. So here we are, we're sitting at a 37 for Stellar. I saw this post. XLM looks to be gearing up for an October 2017 style move, and this will segue us to ADA analysis as well. But I saw this post, and this is a price action post, right? It's a structure post. He's comparing this structure, this consolidation in October 2017, rightfully so. It's very similar. But here's where I think this person's post becomes even more accurate. Because if you go look at the consolidation that he's comparing, it's basically right here, right? He's saying right there, comparative to where we are, boom. Well, check this out. And by the way, this post was yesterday, his post that he did. If you go and you look at our risk model for XLM, check out, here's the consolidation he's comparing to October. We're at a 37 right here from a risk score perspective. Here is October 2017 back here is what he's saying. Well, right before that October move, that October area in September, weeks earlier, look at the risk model for XLM, a 38. We're 37 right now. So I don't know if he knew it when he's charting that yesterday, but he's comparing the structure setup being the same. The risk is the same. But the difference is XLM is not like, at a 1 penny, just over a penny, 38 risk score. It's at 40 cents, 37 risk score. The risk score is almost identical, but we're not around a penny. We're around 40 cents. And we are compressing on this XLM chart towards the upper end of this ascending triangle. That's crazy. You cannot have a better alignment of risk and structure in an altcoin right now with a narrative like Visa. This is a great play. And listen, I will not pretend that I have the best setup for this cycle. I, for years, have just known I can't spread myself thin. Man, that's such a good one. That's a good one. That's a good chart. That's a good narrative. I can't do that. I need to focus on just a small group of plays that I feel good about, and just knowing there's going to be other ones. You can't hit them all. That's my approach. Stellar's one of those plays, and there are others that is just man, it's a good one, and I'm underexposed to XLM. I am, and that's fine. I'm completely cool with it because I have exposure to other things like ADA. So let's do that. Let's look at ADA now in light of what we just looked at in terms of XLM. So XLM is basically presenting a very bullish setup from risk and structure. What I wanted to point out to you is this. I thought this was kind of interesting, and I don't know what it means, but I was looking at basically like this February area back here, like week of February 8th, 2021, the later stages of the bull. XLM went 26% from February 8th, the week of February 8th, 26% to all-time highs. I went to ADA from the February 8th area on this chart, and this is just one piece of data I want to show to you, but that February 8th area, if I pull this up, I don't think it was quite 247%. Let me see. Let's go to the top of February 8th candle to be conservative. So where are we? Actually, it's over here. Let's go to the top of that wick. But we're looking at around almost 200% move. So 200% move almost to compared to XLM's 26% move. So this is partly where I'm going to start becoming interested to see how when things start breaking out, what performs better. One benefit I would say that XLM has is we are at a 37 risk as we're at a very similar point of last cycle and in comparison, right? So the upside for XLM is very strong. But then I noticed this on Cardano because this is incredibly bullish. So when Cardano made that almost 200% move, I want you to pay special attention to the fact that Cardano, if we look at February, let's just look at mid-February or that first week of February, we look at the risk model for ADA and we go over to, there's mid-February, 78. Here's February 8th, 75 risk at 68 cents. That's number one. Right now, we're at 36 risk and we're at 80. I mean, as I do this video, I think I need to update this risk model because price right now, as I'm doing the video, is if I go to ADA, just 85 cents or so. So we're at 85 cents and risk score is like half of what it was when it was at 67 cents before that 200% move. That's number one. But number two, I think even more bullish when it comes to risk analysis from a structure perspective, because we did this on XLM, right? Look at the consolidation here, look at the risk score, look at the consolidation here, look at the risk score. Well, do that with ADA right now, right? So basically, go back and look at ADA last cycle and let's identify, what are we at? We're at a 35 risk score, for ADA as I've refreshed this chart. Well, let's go to last cycle, pre-bull move. Do we have a 35? There's a 35 in September 2020. ADA was 8 cents. Right now, ADA is 85 cents at the same risk score. So when we start going over here and we take a fractal, and I believe this fractal that I had already charted was from basically like this move back here. Let me just redo it. So let's just take it from September 2021 or 2020, swing high, take the fractal. So we're taking a fractal of a similar risk into a bull market, and we do it this time. I mean, that fractal is going up to like $20, but we can just pull that down. We can compress it. We can make it more conservative of a move. Maybe we go down first. The fractal does not have to be the same, but you can see the upside potential for ADA and a breakout for ADA is insane. So the reason I'm bringing that up is because I will be very curious to see at this moment, as ADA is still a ways away from all-time high, but at this risk score, similar to the risk score back here, with incredible upside, I'm just curious to see how ADA and XLM perform against each other from this moment forward, right? So I don't know. I don't know how it's going to play out. I just know both of them have incredibly unique setups. You can see if you go over to the ADA risk model or the ADA chart, I just want to say this. ADA is also in a very bullish macro cycle setup. Higher highs, higher lows. I'm not sitting here this cycle and using this as the structured move, right? So meaning I'm not sitting here saying ADA is going to make the move to the upper trend line at like $10, $11, and then we're going to hit the target out of that. That's just crazy. So in a similar sense, I'm cautious to even use this multi-cycle ascending triangle, which is very similar to what we just looked at on ADA. ADA has more of a, just like an ascending pattern. I'm cautious to do that because the breakout target for this chart is, I mean, it's pretty crazy. I think I measured the move earlier and it's like, it's insane. I'm cautious to do that in the same sense that I'm cautious to do that, and I won't do it for ADA. But I do know higher high analysis is a very good way to dissect these charts, right? And we've looked at a 1618 higher high for ADA is like $5. Last cycle, we surpassed that. And that is something that's in play. Surpassing that into this upper range, the $5 to $10 range for ADA is very much in play. And so when it comes to all-time high targets for XLM, I'd have to really kind of dissect it a little bit differently and maybe try and get good targets that are, I would say, in my approach, I like to be conservative, but maybe that's for another video. But all to say, both risk models sitting around the same mid-30s and so prime for breakout moves. Both have their own narratives. It will be a fun race to watch. And if you're in our intelligence system, now is the time. If XLM makes a 2017 style move, plan your exits for these risk scores being hit and take profits. I'm just going to say that. Same thing. Go to a Cardano risk model. Take profits, right? So plan your exits, get into the system, try it out if you're not a member. And if you are a member, I hope this was kind of valuable as we release this XLM risk model to kind of get an understanding, at least from one perspective, how these risk models work. If you're not a subscriber, please subscribe. If you enjoyed this video, please hit that like on the way out. I'll see you in the next video. God bless.